Okay, now that we've made sure everything inside is clean and looks good and wires are tight and ready to go, the last thing that we're going to check here in this section is the blower motor. Make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do, the amp draw on it. Okay. We're going to follow our wires here. Okay. Now I'm going to cover up this motor because they're designed to operate in a sealed cabinet. So these amp draws are going to change. One thing a lot of people forget to do is they check their amp draw with the panel off and don't realize it's a completely different number with the panel on. See, our amp draw rose from 105 to 1.35. So, but 1.35 is within our normal operating range. We're rated at a maximum of 4.1 amps. So that's operating perfectly. Okay, our 8 kilowatt heater is pulling 34 amps, which is almost exactly what it was pulling on the day that it was first started up. And that's perfectly fine. It's within its normal operating range. We are now complete with the testing on the air handler. Everything looks good, it's working fine. One thing left here is to change the air filter and then clear out the drain and make sure the drain is nice and clean. Any buildup is pulled out of it and we'll start fresh. It's only a year old, so you're not going to have any major dirt or buildup. Plus, having these perfect fit filters makes a huge difference in the amount of buildup and debris that you get inside this air handler cabinet. A lot of people use these standard 1-inch filters, and it's a spun glass filter. It's the most common filter I see. And I try to explain to people, when you hold that filter up to the light, when you can see through it, dirt and debris can get through it. And that dirt and debris builds up in the coil and then is eventually pulled through into the cabinet on the insulation, around the blower assembly, and it actually reduces the efficiency because now your blower wheel is filled with that dirt and debris, which means it moves less air, your coil gets less air through it. All of that eventually leads to higher electric bills and the shorter lifespan of the system. Having a nice big perfect fit filter cabinet like this, that thick filter is going to catch a lot more, reduce the amount of buildup, and maintain the life of the unit a lot longer. But yeah, I mean, you can see the difference after 1 year. It is a noticeable difference compared to the new one, because a lot of times we find that with these filters, these thicker filters, they look worse quicker than a standard 1-inch filter. And the reason that is because it's a higher quality filter. It's designed to catch more. So it's gonna look bad, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is bad. Again, we come back to my typical, you hold it up to the light, and when there's areas when held up to the light and you can see through, but then there's areas that are dark and you cannot see through. If the areas that are dark and cannot be seen through are the majority of the filter surface, then it's definitely time to be changed. In this case, we're going to change it because it's been a year, not because it's overly impacted. It probably could have gone a little bit longer based on the condition of it, but like I said, we're at that 1 year point, so we're going to go ahead and take care of that.
And the pumpkin on the side with the filters.
Now, these filter cartridges come with this nice little spot here to write the date. And even though a standard filter, if you have a 1-inch filter in your house, it doesn't necessarily have that spot to write the date, but I always recommend writing that date. So the one thing I hear most is, oh, I think I changed it 20 days ago, and it'll actually be a filter that I personally installed 4 months prior. And because I put the date on there, we know exactly when it was installed. And a lot of times, reasons we go out for service calls and repairs, something that had to do with an impacted filter because you forgot when you changed it and you didn't mark it down, so you have no reference point, and we'll come out for a service call and you're spending a couple $100 on a repair that could have been fixed with a, inexpensive filter. So this just slides right in here on each track. These filters run on average for about $40, and they're designed to last about a year. Now, considering a filter that you'd pay $1.50 for is designed to last 1 month, if you do that for 12 months exactly, you're going to spend a little bit less money. Not a whole lot of savings, but a couple dollars difference. Now, because you did save that little bit of money is great, but in the end, the quality of the filter that you installed in your system allowed debris and buildup to get into your evaporator coil. Now, after 5 years of running one of these higher quality filters, that coil's going to look like it did the day it was installed. But after 5 years of running one of those cheap spun glass $1.50 filters, you're going to need what's called a pull and clean, or a new evaporator coil. You're going to be spending a couple $100 to $1,000 depending on the procedure needed, all because you saved a couple dollars on filters in the beginning. You know, in the end, you'll spend significantly less money by putting a higher quality filter in than you will in the long run of having to do multiple repairs, multiple replacement of parts that could have been fine if you'd had that good filter from the beginning. So it's an old argument that, you know, it comes down to what you believe is saving money. And if you save $10 a day, that's great. But if you got to spend $500 2 years from now to save that $10 a day, it's not really worth it. Okay, we'll just replace this panel. And we'll change the month marker now to September, so I know. A little wipe down, make sure everything's nice and clean and looking pretty. All right, and then the last part of this is to flush out the drain line, which we'll do as we work on the outdoor unit.